go, rock and roll. Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll call our April 14th, 2022 West Elgin Council meeting to order. We'll call it to order at 9:30. I have a recommendation that West Elgin Council hereby adopts the agenda as presented. Do I have a mover and seconder for that? Moved by Rose, seconded by Leatham. All in favor? That is carried. Teresa not with us this morning?
Sir, I haven't heard from her. It does not appear that she is able to join us, but
Okay, well, we got enough to carry on. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. I do have one, I believe. Oh, yeah, it's not the same one. No. So that is over the Johnson Brothers tender.
So, sir, your disclosure of pecuniary interest is for item 8.3.2.
Okay, so noted.
And Councillor Cameron has submitted a form for items number 8.5.1 and 9.1.
So noted. Being we're on a roll with pecuniary interest, anybody else got any? All right, well, we'll carry on. Okay, well, our first order of business is certainly to recognize a gentleman that's been around for many, many years. I guess you and I, George, we go back to when you come over from West Lorne in 98. Yes, so these are one of these bittersweet things that you're really you're really sorry to see someone go, but you're really happy that he's made it through and can move on to something else. And I know that you and Evelyn have a lot of plans, and you're one of those employees that we all strive to get, that not only is a good employee, he's a good community resident, he's a good family man, father, grandfather, you tick all the boxes off, George. And not only am I'm very happy that I've had these many years to be with you at the municipality, but I think that you and I go probably back, 50 years? And with that being said, as I said, bittersweet to start. I'm losing a really good employee, but I know I'm not losing a good friend. So we wish you all the best in the future, and I know that you'll always be close by to give us a hand when we need. Anybody else want to say anything?
Oh,
go ahead.
Well, I wish you all the best, George, and I hope you have a good, long, happy retirement. I've been here 12 years and I can't remember the place, obviously, without you. You've been here all the way through. We have had the odd chat along the way over the years, but I wish you all the best, and hope you have a good retirement. And I'm sure you will, because you're sort of a guy that keeps sort of busy. So that's a good thing. Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess from my point of view, I can honestly say that George is probably one of the most dedicated employees that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And in this day and age, commitment like that needs to be recognized, and it will be truly missed. So George, I hope you make good use of the trailer this summer, because you deserve it.
Thanks.
Sure. Congratulations, George, on your well-deserved retirement. 31 years is quite a number. It's been a pleasure to work with you. You're always at work early. I come to work at 7. George is always there. So if you need something, if anybody needs something, there's always George at the back. So all the best to you, and I'll keep you on the payroll. in case we need you. There might be snow.
I think the secret to George's success all these years, and I think the lady sitting beside him is the one that kicks him out of bed before the sun comes up.
Oh.
Go to work. There you go, George. Your that picture they had up there. Look inside there. It's awesome. Isn't that great? You can thank your good buddy Mike for
Mike.
and for you getting him to work probably an hour ahead of the time he's supposed to be there. Thank you so much, Evelyn.
Thank
You
you.
guys take care and we'll see you.
You have some words you wanted to say?
Oh, I have plenty of words I'd like to say, but I'm not. But I do want to thank the council. Time that I've been here. Something I just said to my wife this morning. I got hired in this spot. Some years ago, where we're standing today. I want to thank my wife for standing behind me. And all the telephone calls first thing in the morning. One thing I do want to remember is Bill Keitch. Billy and I go back a long ways. Unfortunately, he passed away quite a few years ago, but he used to tell my wife, kick his ass out of bed and send him to work every time he called. He never said hello.
And she listened to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that note, thank you very much.
Well. No, it's a big decision, George. It is. I know when Norma retired, it was probably the biggest decision that she made in her life, and I think you made the right decision. You got your health, you've got your family, you've built a life around you that I think a lot of people would envy. Good job.
Just before we end, I just wanted to read, there has been a couple messages come through from those watching. So Randy would like to say, attaboy, George, and good luck.
There you go. Yeah. You were a friend to everyone, George, and your work ethic, you've left this municipality in a better place than when you came. There you
Well,
go.
I highly encourage in retirement. It's great. And there's always more jobs to find.
Oh, yeah, we got them on the lineup already.
All righty.
2:00 in the morning is not much fun.
Evelyn, would
Yes,
you
sir.
like to say something? I've never seen you short of words before. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's been a long road, ups and downs, work. I'm there, was there to listen. He deserves this. Up north, he's a totally different person. Northern country and I had to drag him up there. And now he's dragging me.
There you
If
go.
I'm not packed and ready to go, then I guess I missed the bus. So, no, well deserved. He needs this. He'll keep busy.
Well, he's gotta
You'll
do
see a
that.
lot of them, Duncan,
Yes, well,
in the fall.
yeah, it sounds like you're gone till then, so that's good. Okay, guys.
Just one more. We just received a message from Katie Newt stating, congrats, Dad, you deserve this and you've done us kids proud. So your children are on today.
All right, on that note.
True words. Yeah, get out of here before we all get teary.
Yeah, I'm making a Kleenex.
It's nice that his family was on this.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, there's all the staff too are on the camera. They're on panels. Guys in
I'm
the
not
shop as
known
well
George
as all
wants
the
to,
inside staff.
Not normally.
What's that?
I've not known George to one with your
He's very sensitive to it. You would not know it, but he is. Okay, well, let's roll on here. Guess we got a fair bit of work to do this morning. So public meeting, you want to read the resolution, Madam Clerk?
Sure. The council proceed into a public meeting pursuant to section 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, at 9:40 a.m. in order to consider a proposed amendment to the zoning bylaw 2015-36.
Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Cameron and seconded by Rowe. All in favor? And that is carried. Good morning, Heather.
So sorry, I need to read the purpose of the public meeting.
Yes.
Just give me 1 second here. Got to switch screens. So the purpose of the public meeting is to consider and hear comments on a proposed housekeeping amendment to the zoning bylaw. Council will not make a decision on the application in this public meeting. Based on the recommendation and information received at this public meeting, an amending bylaw will be presented to council in the bylaw portion of this regular meeting of council. The planner is keeping a public registry, and if any member of the public wishes to be notified in writing of the decision on this application, they can provide their name and mailing address via email to planning@westelgin.net or by calling 519-785-0560, extension 226, no later than 4 p.m. on the day of the public meeting. A person or public body may appeal a decision if they have made an oral or written submission at today's meeting. If you wish to make an oral submission during this public meeting, please use the raise your hand function in Zoom, and the clerk will allow you to speak when the call is put out for public comments.
Okay, Heather, this is certainly something that I think is needed to occasionally go through our bylaw and change things. Usually they're small things, but they make the document run much smoother. So thank you for doing that, and we'll turn the meeting over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor McPhail. The purpose of this report is to provide council with a proposed housekeeping amendment to the zoning bylaw and to hold a statutory public meeting to gather comments on the proposed amendment. Just to provide some background information, the West Elgin zoning bylaw came into effect on May 28th, 2015. You can find our bylaw, the 2020 office consolidation, up on the municipality's website. Since the bylaws come into in effect since 2015, there have been several site-specific amendments proposed by property owners to facilitate development approvals accordingly. As well, the municipality has done some occasional housekeeping amendments. I've detailed those in my report. We've done housekeeping amendments in 2019 as well as 2020, and this was just to tidy up the bylaw and to address any emerging issues that were coming up in our municipality. January 13th, 2022 council meeting, the municipal planner at the time, Brian Pierce, brought forward a report to council outlining the proposed changes to the West Elgin zoning bylaw. Council agreed with the changes and directed staff to proceed with holding a public meeting. The proposed amendment will, I can go over that in detail. The proposed amendment will permit a mobile food outlet within a hamlet commercial zone. It will allow for a mobile food outlet as a secondary use to the main use of a property or of a use. In particular, with recreational vehicle park zone, it will allow for a club as an accessory use, provided that there's a campground or trailer park. It'll allow for a laundry establishment as an accessory use, management office as an accessory use, mobile food outlet as an accessory use, retail store as an accessory use, and washroom facilities as an accessory use after provided that all the other main uses of the property have been established. As well, we would be modifying the section 26.2 special use regulations of the recreational vehicle park zone by adding in a section pertaining to retail store and adding in zoning provisions for that. As well, we will be amending the definition section of the zoning bylaw by adding in a definition for roadside stand, as well as adding in provisions for roadside stands throughout the municipality. And also, as well, with our definitions, we will be deleting and replacing the definition for established building line The new definition will better reflect kind of what we're seeing in the municipality and provide clarity to staff and to residents. As well, we'll be modifying the established building line zone provisions. As well with this amendment, we are modifying section 4.15 minimum setbacks from county roads to not be applicable within settlement areas of Rodney and West Lorne. We'll be modifying it with stating that minimum setbacks from county roads are not applicable within the settlement areas of Rodney, West Lorne, New Glasgow, Eagle, Clacton, and Port Glasgow. And lastly, we will be modifying the section 4.1 accessory uses, buildings, and structures. The draft bylaw has been attached to this report. Due to comments received from council and the public on the proposed amendment, a further revision to the zoning bylaw amendment may be required depending upon the outcome of this meeting. In terms of the public meeting notice, a notice was published in the West Elgin Chronicle on March 24th, 2022. The notice was circulated under the requirements of the Planning Act. The notice was also published on the municipality's website for public review. The application was circulated to the public agencies for comment prior to the meeting. No comments were received from public agencies. Comments were received from municipal staff when the draft zoning bylaw amendment was written, and it's been incorporated into this document. No comments were received from the public. In terms of financial implications, there are costs associated with newspaper notices, in particular the notice of public meeting, notice of decision, cost to advertise the public meeting, and that there is budget allocation for advertising within the planning budget to capture these costs. Moving on to policies, reviewed the provincial policy statement, and the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is consistent with the provincial policy statement. As well, in terms of the County of Elgin official plan, the proposed zoning bylaw amendment conforms to the Elgin County official plan. In regards to the municipality of West Elgin official plan, the proposed zoning bylaw amendment also conforms to the West Elgin official plan. Recommendation that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Heather James regarding zoning bylaw amendment 2022 housekeeping amendment to the West Elgin zoning bylaw 2015-36, file number D1401-2022 for all applicable lands within the municipality, and that West Elgin Council approve the zoning bylaw amendment 2022 housekeeping amendment in accordance with the draft bylaw attached to this report. And further, that West Elgin Council consider the bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw as presented in the bylaw portion of the April 14th, 2022 council agenda. Thank you.
Sorry, Heather, just to let you know, they'll deal with the recommendation after they hear from the public and they hear from council.
Okay, my apologies.
Okay, that being said, do we have any hands up from the public regarding this amendment, Madam Clerk?
So I'm going to make the first call for anyone from the public who wishes to speak to this zoning amendment. If you do, please use the raise your hand function at the lower portion of the screen, and I will allow you to talk. I'm going to make a second call for any publics that wishes to speak. Sir, it does not appear that anyone wishes to speak. There's only a couple people on the line, so.
Okay, before we go into council comments, Councillor Tellier has joined us. Good morning to us. Should we give her the opportunity for any pecuniary interest?
Yes, sir, you can.
Yes. We went around the table. There was a bit of pecuniary interest this morning, so I thought I'd give you a chance. I don't see your hand going up, so I guess we can proceed that there is none. With that being said, council comments on the housekeeping plan. Bonnie.
Just one clarification, Heather, if you wouldn't mind, primarily with regard to the section on the RV parks, wherever that is, the RV park zone. There's a variation in terminology used, both secondary and accessory use. Could you remind me of the difference between those two?
Sure, absolutely. So essentially, secondary is the same as accessory. However, in terms of the zoning bylaw amendment, we are using the word accessory as that is defined in the zoning bylaw. So it's just unfortunately, I apologize. It was just inconsistency in using the same word throughout the report.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other, any other questions from council on this? Seems pretty straightforward, and I think that the language kind of clarifies in the zoning bylaw some of the issues that have been identified and now they've been addressed. So that's what a living document is supposed to comprise. So thank you for staff for doing this. When we get down to a recommendation, do you want to read the recommendation?
Sure. The West Elgin Council approved the zoning bylaw amendment 2022 housekeeping amendment in accordance with the draft bylaw attached to the report. Further, that West Elgin Council consider a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw as presented in the bylaw portion of the April 14th, 2022 council agenda.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Cameron, seconded by Leatham. All in favor? And that is carried.
Okay, so we're at the point where we need to close the public meeting.
Read the resolution, please.
So that West Elgin Council hereby closes the public meeting held pursuant to section 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 at 9:51 a.m. to reconvene in the regular meeting of council.
Mover and seconder. Rowe and Talia, all in favor? That is carried. Adoption of the minutes.
So that the minutes of the council meeting of March 24th, 2022, and the special meeting of council on March 29th, 2022 be adopted as circulated and printed.
Mover and seconder. Moved by Talia, seconded by Leatham, all in favor? That is also carried. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Bonnie?
Yes, I just wondered if we should make it official that the Legion Reserve wasn't necessary. In our last minutes, we were referring to creating a reserve, so.
So we haven't established reserves for that purpose.
No, we did not need to reestablish the reserves. It turns out I believe Councillor Talia might be able to update better, but the command, the Legion command did not agree with the proposal.
It was not, there was not enough detail in our proposal, and they didn't feel comfortable of transferring the money to the municipality.
We just have it on record that that's what happened as a result.
Yeah.
Council meeting to address it.
Any other things arising from the minutes? Seeing none. We will go to staff reports. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning, Mayor McPhail. How are you?
I am very good. Have a recommendation that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from our CBO building permit report for March 22 for information purposes. Mover and seconder for that. Moved by Cameron, seconded by Rowe. All in favor? That is carried. Somebody's building a big house, aren't they?
Yes, there's more than one, I guess, coming.
Yeah,
So,
wow.
yeah, residential seems to be the majority of the work for the new permits this year so far. And I have about 12 or 13 residential style permits. They're not all single family homes, but there are, most of the work is residential that's in the queue.
Well, I guess that's a good thing. Any questions for Jackie on her report? Seeing none, anything on the horizon you want to give us a heads up about, or are we just sailing along and hoping for calm seas?
Yeah, I think we're just sailing along so far. I'm not aware of anything in particular that's of noteworthy anyway, so.
Yes. How are you standing the, I guess we're just at the start of the storm here, and are you going to be able to cope through it all?
Well, we're still I have a meeting to discuss any future additions for staff. For instance, we still don't have a full-time building inspector hired. That has been unsuccessful so far. I do have a contract inspector working for me to help out once or twice a week with inspections so that I can keep on top of the paperwork and the correspondence. And I'm still sending plans to a building plans review company to help out with that workload as well. So it's spreading it out and trying to manage the workload as best as I can, but it would be much more helpful to have a full-time staff, obviously.
And I think that certainly you're working actively to try to remedy that. Coming back from the conference in Toronto, it's a common theme, no matter which municipality that you talk to, they're struggling for professional people to provide services. And I don't know what the overall answer is going to be. I was reading that Norfolk has had a 60 or a 43% turnover in staff in 2021. Absolutely amazing. So I guess all we can say is keep up the good work and to bed early and get your rest, and we'll see you in a month.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Next up, got Jeff coming in.
Yep, sir, there's Jeff.
There he is. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Your Worship and Council.
Did you get down to the fiasco in Downey Line a couple days ago?
No, I wasn't available at the time, but I did talk to the captain that was in command and a couple of firefighters after, and yeah, potentially a very serious situation, but I think from a fire department's perspective, things went very well. It sounded like it was an organized response, and of course, and with Enbridge as well. But definitely potential for some serious issues there. But luckily, the outcome was favorable.
Mm-hmm. My understanding is that in a situation like that, that the initially you have to have a mixed concentration of gas and of oxygen. And in the initial incident, there's way too much gas for it to ignite. So you do have some time to kind of,
Yeah, that was a unique one in that regard. Usually, right, we often see obviously a smaller low pressure line when that does happen. So yes, there would have been that was definitely a unique situation considering it was a high pressure line going through there. So
well, that I was talking to our son about it yesterday, and he says, yeah, he says we get them in the city quite often. He says there's no leaves left on the trees anywhere in close proximity because of the force of the wind that comes out or the gas that comes out. And I guess for those of you that there was a gas line hit on Downey maybe Monday or so, and that's good. So we do have a recommendation to council hereby received the report from Jeff MacArthur, Fire Chief, our March monthly fire report for information purposes. Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Cammert and seconded by Leatham. All in favor? That is carried. I guess you've all had a chance to read Jeff's report. Any questions from council on the report? How did we do at the auction with our bits and pieces that we were getting rid of?
yeah, and Lee can correct me on the exact numbers, but I think we got a little bit more for the van than maybe expected, and maybe a few dollars less for the trailer. But I believe it combined it was 21,000 and change, if I recall Lee's figures correctly. So overall, I think we were pleased with how it turned out.
And that isn't even taking into consideration freeing up the space in our halls of getting rid of redundant equipment. So
yeah, and we've already kind of taken advantage, or not taken advantage, but kind of utilize that extra space in the bay. It's been kind of nice just on a couple of training nights already. So
Sure. Bonnie,
Oh, good morning, Jeff. I just noticed the posting for the captain at Station One, and I wondered if is that a new position or is that someone has resigned or?
Yeah, no, that appreciate the question. That was a existing position. If council may recall, last year we had a couple of retirements, so we haven't filled them yet. We kind of were focused on firefighter recruitment at the end of last year first, and then with the plan to recruit a captain. So it's just filling a vacant spot.
Okay.
another question, as we move out of COVID, you're still working on recognition for a number of these individuals that have retired.
Yes, and good news, actually, just in the past week, or well, probably 2 weeks ago, we finally did receive the 20-year medals. So we were kind of hoping to get in. So now that they're in, yes, we'll definitely arrange something quite soon for that.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else for Jeff? Well, easy morning, Jeff.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, our next up is the Manager of Operation Community Services. Have a recommendation that council hereby receives the report from Lee Gosnell, Manager of Operations Community Services, and that West Ogden Council hereby accepts the quote submitted by Eastern Oilfield Services Limited at a cost of $117,000 plus applicable taxes for supply and application of dust suppressant included in the 2022 municipal budget. Lee, do you want to talk to that before we?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I don't think it's pretty straightforward. We did have Eastern Oilfield Services was our supplier last year in 2021, and they did a good job for the municipality at a very reasonable price. So I think this one's pretty straightforward.
Richard?
Really, do they use a different product? I'm trying to justify the difference in the prices.
No, it's the same product. It's a 20% natural brine solution. But Eastern Oilfield is getting that brine from local wells. So a large portion of the cost in a contract like this is fuel and trucking. The other companies are bringing it from a farther distance away. So Eastern has that advantage. So it's an advantage for us as well.
Yeah,
So
huge. Thank you.
advantage of that.
And you've been doing sampling.
Yes, we do.
Where is their source?
They have sources both in West Elgin and in Dutton Dunwich that they are storing it. So brine for them, other companies that sell brine for dust suppressant, basically they take it out of the ground as they need it because that's their product. That's what they're selling. Whereas Eastern is the brine is a byproduct of the oil production. So it's coming out of the ground all the time. So they store it and they have to be able to get rid of it so it's a win-win for both of us. They're finding a home for it where they can make some revenue off of it as a byproduct, and we can utilize it for dust suppressant.
So, okay. All right. So we've read the resolution. Makes a lot of sense. I think when you take a look at the tender prices, it's a good value. Mover and seconder for that. Moved by Rowe and seconded by Cameron. All in favor, and that is carried. Richard, I've noted a conflict with the next article or item on our agenda. So if you would take care of that for me, I'll vacate the chair.
Okay. If you
So just noting that Duncan, the mayor has vacated the chair and Deputy Mayor Leatham is now the chair of the meeting. So the resolution for this is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Lee Gosnell, Manager of Operations and Community Services, and that West Elgin Council hereby accepts the quote submitted by Johnston Brothers Limited at a cost of $299,250 plus applicable taxes for the supply and application of maintenance gravel included in the 2022 municipal budget.
Okay, is there any comment on that? There's a vast difference in your quotes again, which is good for us. But
Yeah, no, Deputy Mayor Leatham, I think that this is normally what we get. We haven't had many tenders for gravel in quite a few years now. And Johnson Brothers is a local company. And we were expecting an increase this year, obviously due to fuel costs. So this is pretty well in line with what we were looking to get, so.
okay, so any comments to anybody? Bonnie?
I was just trying to remember what our quote was for last year, and how much higher it is.
Our quote last year was 268,000, I believe. So we're about we're $2.46 per ton higher for the gravel this year than we were last year. So it would be, yeah, on 15,000, yeah, roughly. Yeah.
Angela?
So through the chair, having recently got some gravel prices for another project that I'm involved with, the price per ton is actually less than what I was quoted for something. So this seems fair to me. I'm fine with going ahead with it. Johnson's has always been fair to us in the past, so.
Okay, so I'll look around the table. Does anybody want to move? Moved by Bonnie, seconded by Angela. All in favour? Passed. We're just waiting for the mayor to come back in.
All right.
Yeah, that's
Well,
done.
Thank you for that, Richard. Go ahead, please.
The West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Lee Gosnell, Manager of Operations and Community Services, monthly operations update, March 2022, for information purposes.
Mover and seconder, moved by Cameron, seconded by Leatham. All in favor? Is carried. Okay. Everybody has seen Lee's report. Still doing potholes.
Yes, as weather permits, we are.
Yeah, because I know the alley and Rodney's getting pretty rough. You would already be aware of that.
Yes.
Something was brought to my attention yesterday that kind of the edge of the road where people are parking down by the United Church in Rodney probably needs either the back road, give it a little scrape. It's got pretty potholy, and I don't know if that's our responsibility or whose responsibility is that. The gravel portion along the edge of the road, whether it needs some gravel in it, maybe it's just something that you can have a look at when you're going by.
Yeah, we can have Public Works look at that.
Any questions for Lee? Yes, Bonnie?
Yeah, I have a couple. I just wondered what the status of the county repairs on Talbot Line at New Glasgow is. Are they finished there now, or is there still?
I believe they are finished now. The contractor was back in a couple of weeks ago, and they did some restoration work. There was one small section on the north side. There was a culvert pipe that they hadn't identified at the first time around, so they had to make some repairs to that remedial, but I believe it is complete now.
See, they still have some equipment around there, so I just wondered. And then a little while ago, I asked about the Trans-Canada trail signs, and I wondered if you'd been able to find out whether those signs could be replaced or.
We are currently working on, we've been corresponding with the trail system. They've just received notice that they have been approved for funding
Okay,
for the next 5 years, I
Okay.
believe they put in for. So typically when we see that funding, when they receive word of that funding, they'll put the thing out that we are able to apply for signs and get signs, new
Okay.
markers, route
Good.
markers. So we're in correspondence with them on that right
Super.
now.
great. And I think there's one more thing, if I could,
Go
to the
ahead, please.
chair. We're just sort of having conversations with staff with regard to a little celebration at the Memorial Park, New Glasgow Memorial Park there. And I just wondered what kind of timelines we're looking at for the fencing and the gate and those sorts of signage in the cairn and so forth, just so those are done in time for the celebration if possible.
That one, I'll have to look into that and I'll get back to you
Okay.
with a timeline.
We haven't really set a date for that, but I expect we'll want to have something.
You're
In the
thinking
summer.
summer of
Yeah.
this summer?
Yeah, because it isn't a year later than it should have been, and just Jan and I have been talking about what we can do and how we can recognize it. It's not going to be anything huge, but some little event to celebrate it. It would be nice to have that all done up, but I don't know whether a special team is required for removing that fence that's there, the stone fence, as we sort of decided that was going to be the option. And anyway, I'll wait to hear a report back on that. Thanks.
Anything else for Lee? Yes.
So through the chair, I know Emily's been running some programming recently, and I had the opportunity to participate in the sports literacy program. While we were at the park and Emily was doing the sports program of it, I had a couple residents come up and ask if we were going to be doing any maintenance to the walking path in the park this year. I just wondered what your plans were with that, because they're indicating some flooding areas more over to the far side of the park where the soccer areas are. And this was a group that I guess walks in the park at certain nights of the week and stuff. I know that you've been applying for grants, and I just wondered if there was any updates.
So through the chair, we have applied for grants for upgrades to the pathway in Miller Park, which have not been successful to this point. There was some work done on the pathways last summer. The Parks and Recreation Department did add gravel in some places. Obviously, this time of year is wet in the park, so there will be spots. But there is also there's some talk, not so much for the pathway out through the park around the soccer fields, but there is some discussions right now being had about improvements to the pathway, more so in and around all the activities. So the playground, the new playground, the splash pad, the pavilion. Jana may be able to fill you in a little bit more on that.
So staff have met with a community group. I don't want to say too much right now until they get it done, and they're working on fundraising to provide accessible pathways from the Chestnut Street entrance through over, like he said, to the main area of the amenities, and maybe connect a couple of those amenities to the pathways. So we're also working with the accessibility coordinator from the County of Elgin. Hopefully we'll have some more information shortly to you guys on that. It's just we had to finalize the regulations and the size, and they're getting some quotes to see what they can afford and things like that. So yeah, that's why there's no point in us doing a lot of maintenance to the paths until we know what happens, because there will be some staff time required to build up the base before probably before the accessible parts were done.
Okay, thank you. If I get more resident questions, I will let them know.
Well, I certainly think you can let the residents know that it is on the radar. It's actively being worked on. And again, it's one of those projects that we're fortunate to have people that want to assist us with that. But, sometimes that takes a little more time. And so, but it is actively being looked at as we speak. Any other questions? I had one, now I lost it. Oh, yes. My understanding is that the electric charging station in Rodney is coming. Probably within a month. So maybe you have more details on it than that, Lee. I was just speaking with Aaron and
Yep, through the chair, I guess we just received notice in the last couple days that the county is going to move forward with EV charging stations at various locations throughout Elgin County, and Rodney has been selected as the recipient of one of those charging stations. So it will be, my understanding is it will be located on Furnival Road, the east side of Furnival Road, just north of Mariah Street.
Yeah, I don't know whether anybody can answer this question, but I've asked a lot of people and I've never had an answer yet. Can anybody tell me how long, on average, does it take to charge a car up?
So there's three levels of charging stations. There's the level that you would have at a home, like a residential. So that's like an overnight that is charged. Then there's a level 2, which is what's coming to Rodney. My understanding is that's 4 to 5 hours for a full charge. And then there would be the level 3, which are the kind that you would see in a fuel stop, like in an actual gas station. Those are like a 20-minute. But they're very expensive. Those fast charge systems are very, very expensive. There's a big jump in price between level 2 and level 3. So the ones that are coming that the county are purchasing are that level 2. So they're kind of that 4 to 5 hour range for if the battery is right dead for a complete charge.
And so you'd be charged with a card, I take it. There's got to be a charge for it, obviously. So you just use a card?
Yes, I believe that's how the ones that the county have purchased are on a card system, so that it would be charged. You would just put your card in and it would be charged to the card.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
I was listening to some interesting data on the way in this morning, and as we seem to be moving quickly towards electric vehicles, the estimation is that we are going to require one charging station for every 10 vehicles, which relates into across Canada, millions of charging stations. And this is what the discussion was, is that maybe there's not enough thought going into the charging component, especially in our climate here. If it gets 20 degrees below zero, your range on your vehicle drops by 40%. For those of you that have drove across Western Canada, you make sure that you get gas every chance you get. So I'm really think that there's a lot of work and a lot of money has to be done. And I think that the timelines of what the federal government is trying to accomplish here, very ambitious, and I don't know whether it's possible or not, but at least we have come into the EV future with the charging station in one of our villages, and in a lot of cases, I know that that's just something that if somebody's traveling and they run out of juice, that they can pop in. They might not want a full charge, but they want enough to get them home. Well, I think it's a good thing for us to move on with, but we'll see what the future brings. Anything else for Lee? Okay. Let's jump right along here to Jana. You have a report from Dutton Child Care Center.
Nope, sir, we're
Board.
at the reapportionment of the drainage assessment.
Oh, sorry.
So would you like me to read that?
Yes, please,
resolution?
go ahead.
The West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Jana Nethercott Clerk, apportionment of drainage assessment for the head drain due to severance of land pursuant to section 65(2) of the Drainage Act RSO 1990. And that West Elgin Council hereby approves the apportionment of the drainage assessment agreement for the head municipal drain as part of severance E3721 as presented.
I guess that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, this is one of two components left to finalize the severance.
Yeah.
This, and then at the next meeting, we'll have a public meeting for the rezoning. So it can get finished.
Lee, do you know, is Todgem and Case still in business? I don't think so. I know they were the engineer on this report back in 1966. And where they were the go-to engineering firm in West Elgin here for many, many years. I just didn't know.
They are still in Chatham. There's
they?
a listing for them.
Okay. Okay, you all heard the recommendation. Do I have a mover and seconder for it? Moved by Cameron and seconded by Rowe. All in favor? That is carried. Okay, Dutton Child Care Center Board.
Certainly. So the West Elgin Council hereby receives a report from Jana Nethercott. Oh, I suppose you probably want some discussion about this first. I received the letter from Pam at the Dutton Child Care Center with the new, as the letter said, with the new school expansions coming to both Aldeboro and St. Mary's. She would like some municipal representation. I did explain to her that with an election year, it'll only be to the end of this year, and then we may have to reappoint someone new. She's completely fine with that. They just would like to have municipal representation since these expansions, will involve municipal requirements.
Questions? I have a couple. What's the duties of this director?
It's just to attend their meetings. Their board of directors, my understanding is helps them guide where they're planning on moving forward. They'll probably review some of the plans, things like the operational plans, things like that.
Who do they report to?
They report, basically, it's a cooperative to like the parents, basically. Yeah,
Okay,
to the public
so
and the
do they
parents.
report to the Ministry of Education? Do they report to somebody in St. Thomas? Do they report to
That I
Thames
can't.
Valley District School Board?
No,
Somebody's.
So they report to the parents who attended this, like whose children attend
Do they hire the staff? Do they?
that I can get some more information if you would
Well,
prefer.
I would think that would it be possible, and I don't know what the rest of council thinks, would it be possible with a lot of these changes that we have Pam come to a meeting? Because, you take on a director on a board, what are the liabilities to the municipality? Because I sat on the Tiny Tots Nursery Board for decades. And as you all know, somehow it just seems to come along that there are things that have to come from the municipality to keep things floating through. So I think we should understand what we're getting into moving forward with this. I don't have a problem with the request. I don't have a problem with the child or the daycare group. But I think from the corporation's eyes, I think that we really need to have an understanding of what's happening. Bonnie?
Yeah, when I looked at this request, to me, it would be very similar to our representation on the West Lorne Heritage Homes board,
Mhm.
in that this is a nonprofit that provides daycare to Dutton, West Lorne, and Rodney area, and it makes sense that since there is now going to be 2 more facilities in our catchment area that it makes sense that we might be asked. I do agree that it would be nice to have at least a terms of reference or something like that, or a presentation, whichever is preferred, but yeah.
I'm just interested in what it all entails and all the mechanics that go along with it and, taking on the role of director, if you're gonna do it correctly, I think you need a good understanding of what you just signed up for. And especially when you're there representing the corporation. So is that agreeable that we have asked Pam to come and discuss this with us?
Yes, I can move forward with that.
Okay.
I guess the other thing that is of interest to me, if I could through the chair,
Through your
When I-
mask.
through my mask and the chair. Sorry about that. Just getting over a cold. What are, oh darn, sorry about that. Are there any conflicts in terms of board representation? For example, myself, I have family members that have kids on the wait list. So is that a conflict? And so I would be interested in hearing that as well.
I did have to ask a couple questions about conflict of interest for this board. If you are, my understanding, this is not legal advice. I want to be very clear on this.
Sure.
If you have a child or any monetary involvement with this center, it is a conflict, which is why Counselor Cammert, because she runs their website.
Yeah.
Or like hosts their website,
Mhm.
and it was decided, and the information also included if you had a child involved. I realize it's not a child, so
Mhm.
you'd have to find out about the board of directors, like, or like if they're on the wait list.
No questions.
That's what I mean. I think not that anybody has a problem with being involved in. And we've wished and prayed and hoped for many, many years that we would start getting some organized childcare in our community. And we're very happy that it is, and we know that the Dutton Nutrich Group has a long track record of it, of operating this. I know that they were under St. Thomas at one point in time. Things have changed around it ended up, the Tiny Tots was under the Association of Community Living, and now they're under early years. And I mean, so many things have changed. And I think we just need a good discussion to kind of see what it is and what can we contribute to it.
Mhm.
So if we can get Pam to come in, that would be great. And go from there. So how do you want to handle that resolution?
Well, there will be no resolution. So you can provide just staff direction to contact the Dutton Child Care Center and ask for delegation at council.
That would be good. Everybody comfortable with that? What are your thoughts, Russ? You're pretty quiet up there.
Through the chair, yeah, I had a lot of questions as well, and I saw it as reminiscent of when we all, not we all, but you and I and others in the community were on the board for Tiny Tots, because we just didn't speak for the parents, but we spoke for the whole building and the community and how it integrated in. So we had a lot of decisions back then about what was going on, and a lot of input and a lot of questions. So it just seemed reminiscent of that structure. So that's how I see it, that we'd be reporting to the parents and reporting and logging exactly what's happening along the way and pulling in all those community bases to see where we're at and how things look. So more questions are always good to have and to have answered. So yeah, it'd be great if Pam could come in and have a little powwow with us to see exactly where we're at with this board.
Well, this is where it leaves me. I mean, you take a look at 2-point-some odd million dollars that the Ministry of Education is spending at the Rodney facility. Are they the ones that are funding it? Or is their funding being channeled through another organization? Is Dutton Childcare, are they managing it on behalf of the ministry? Are they managing it on behalf of the Board of Education? Are they managing it at all? And what is their management role in that? And I mean, I think we just need to get Pam in. And I guess that's the direction that we're going to go, not to belabor it. Okay. Recess. Good. Sounds great. We get to go outside? Oh. Okay, let's take a little break here and we will be back. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're going to move on to 8.6.1, Magna, the water and wastewater billing collection policy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So back in, staff briefly met and discussed issues that we had with receivables. So in order for us to keep accounts receivable and under acceptable levels, we need to revise our policy. As last 2 years, it's been a challenge. COVID kind of flipped things upside down, and we could no longer disconnect people. Times are not changing. It's still, no other municipalities are disconnecting residents from their water, and we shouldn't have to do that. But in order to collect receivables in a timely manner, we need to make few revisions to our water policy, collection policy. So, and also generate a little bit more revenue without putting additional burden on staff. One of the examples is ProFill credit. There is not much savings to residents when they are applied for PRO credit, but there is a lot of work for our staff. In the table in my report, you'll notice the minimum credit we have issued to our the customers with pool, the maximum as well, and the average credit amount was in the range of $50 or $45 last year. There's a lot of work. The onus is on the resident. They have to write down the water read meter before they fill their pool and then right after. So the only savings that they are able to incur is the sewage, which is not a lot of money. So staff is proposing of eliminating ProFill credit. That's number one change. The second change that we're proposing is push for equal monthly billing. This will help our residents pay their water bill quicker. And if they know that, they are paying, let's say $150 a month, they'll be expecting that bill. The chances are that $150 is, it's easier to come up with $150 a month than $350 every other month. So we would like to push for that. We're gonna provide some pamphlets with our next bill to residents and encourage them to sign up for equal monthly billing. Another change that we're proposing is the due dates. So the original policy is at least 10 years old. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jenna. 20 years old. Thank you. The original policy is 20 years old. That policy included online banking when at that time it was fairly new and not too many people were familiar with online banking, and they were not aware that it takes time for the bank to submit payment to the business. So that's why back then the municipal staff came up with grace period of 3 days, which is a little bit confusing now because the due date is always at the current billing is 3 days before end of the month. So, but nobody, no interest is being applied until the 1st. So we're not changing the billing. Actually, we're extending billing period. But when it comes to process of how we charge interest, that part of it is staying the same. So we're not changing the collection and our procedures, how we're gonna deal with unpaid invoices. So those are the 3 main things that we're proposing to council today.
Questions for Magda on this? Russ?
Through the chair, just a couple comments and then a question. So I'm really happy about the due dates, about changing that. So in the past, at the beginning of the year, Linda would send out what the due dates were in a pamphlet with our very first bill of the year or in our December bill. That wasn't done this past year. So when you get your bill, you're like the other day, I was looking for my email to see when my bill came, and then I had to see when it was due. It's not always, because everything kind of switches with the dates of the days in the month. So that's great to hear. We're going to have something consistent with that. I really like the thought and planning that went into the equal billing and another option for residents, because they're always looking for different options of how to do things and pay things. And we're hearing that from them, and to know that their voice has been heard and we're having that option for them is great. My question is about the pool fill up. Thank you for the really easy to read chart there. A lot of people really seem to think they have a lot of savings in that, and from the chart you brought ahead to us, that's not really substantial in my opinion, of savings for the pool credits. So I'm missing here when it would take effect. Was it July 1st?
Yes.
Okay. And so most people will fill their pools before that. So if someone still needs that, then that's there for them, and then they know it from this time going forward. So I just answered my own question then. So that's all I want to know. But thank you for that report. And it's timely. We need to ever, to keep moving and going forward, and changes to the policy look positive to me.
So I just want to add one more thing, that the notice will go out once this policy gets approved. And also I forgot to mention, so any unpaid balance will be transferred to the property taxes. So that's going to take place just before. So the idea is to keep accounts receivable clean just before the new bill comes out. So the week of issuance of a new water bill, the transfer of unpaid balance is going to take place. So we're pretty much gonna wait 2 months until the payment, for the payment to be received. If not received, then we're gonna transfer it to property taxes.
Funny.
Yeah, so that kind of brings up one question that I have. So first of all, what percentage right now of our residents are monthly billing and pay on account or automatic withdrawal or whatever it's called, PAP?
There's not a lot of PAP. There's about 5% on PAP. There's a lot of customers that do online banking. They pay on their own on due date. And there's about initially about 25% of our water customers have balance due after the due date, right after. And then once the statement is received to them, then, you know, the balance gradually decreases.
Oh, okay, and then, so I was asking with regard to your description, did I hear you say that no other municipality discontinues service?
Right, at this point, no.
Because since COVID,
Since COVID,
but before that they did?
yes.
Okay, and so they're continuing it on. So this new policy would avoid that because the billing would automatically go to the tax bill. And there wouldn't ever be any outstanding water bills. There might be outstanding tax bills, but that's a different issue.
Yeah, so basically we'll be shifting receivable levels from water to property taxes. So with property taxes, you know, the property owner has 2 years if taxes are not paid in time. The municipality have a right to register the property for
Right.
tax sale.
Yeah. Thanks.
Any questions? Okay, I have a question. When people start to use the property tax as the bank of convenience and we have to wait 2 years to get our money, where is that shortfall going to come from?
I mean, if we can't disconnect customers, I mean, we're running a chance of having their water account balance outrageous. So, I mean, there's no guarantees with either water or taxes receivable. I mean, we have better chances of collecting money through property taxes than through water accounts.
But we'll have to short fund the difference.
Yes, which we are doing now,
Yes,
and it will possibly grow.
yes.
Yes, Santa.
So just to clarify, because we had passed a previous resolution before that for rental properties that this is going on the taxes, so then that falls back on the property owner to then handle any utilities in the rear with their tenant, correct?
That's correct.
And that takes the onus back off the municipality to deal with the rental issue where we can't collect it when the tenant's gone.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And so once this policy is approved, both property owner and the tenant will be receiving communication from the municipality.
Another question I have, through the changes that you have made here, have you factored in when seniors receive their old age pension and Canada pension, that it's usually the end of the month. I don't know what days I am a participant in that, of course, but
5 days before the end of the month.
Is it?
yeah.
Okay, so
But yeah, I think that we have to make sure, because that has been brought to my attention a number of times, is to make sure that you allow enough time for them to get that check and then be able to pay the bill. And as long as the,
yes, so no, Mr. Mayor, I agree. So this was their ongoing complaint because our current bill due date is 3 days before the end of the month with 3-day grace time. And that's when usually seniors panic, like, I don't have enough time to issue, issue a payment. So this way, that's gonna give them that 3 days room so they don't have to panic, although, because a lot of them don't know about grace period.
Yeah, right. And so, I guess from the old school, when the bills due, the bills due, and well, grace period, what does that mean? The bill's not due when the bill's due? So it gets a little bit confusing. And so as long as that we've left enough room in this billing date for them to receive their checks, or they're probably, some people get them in the mail, some people get them direct deposit, but as long as there's enough room in this, these changes to be able to do that. And I guess we'll know shortly after we implement it, whether it's working for us or not. We might have to revisit it, but I think on the surface, it's probably something that will work good enough. You never quit changing, Richard.
If you're going to transfer non-payment of water bills onto tax bills, and it's 2 years before you can really do anything positive about a tax bill being owed, are you going to accumulate the interest on that monies?
So once the charge is transferred onto property taxes, the property owner will be charged additional $60 transfer fee. Plus any unpaid balance on property taxes, we charge 1% interest per month. So basically that kind of offsets our loss of revenue.
Okay, thank you.
Getting back to the calendar, did we produce a calendar that we sent out to residents of when their water bills were due?
Yep.
When taxes were due? I think that.
Yes, just before July 1st, before the increase, in the past, we would send out pamphlet with the due dates of water billing. No, July. It goes out in July with the increase for July 1st. Last year it went in May. In May, it usually goes out in May.
But I think to have a proper little calendar, I know in my world, things do get away from me, and I have seen it in other jurisdictions where I've watched people open up their cupboard. Here, taped on the inside of the cupboard is this is when the water bill's due, this is when the taxes are due, and any kind of information that we can put out to our residents that they can readily have it. And again, having it on the website, a separate calendar with a heading, when our payments due, do we have that now?
No, well, it's on the website, the date of the billing dates, I believe. I don't maintain those pages, but we can create, I believe I can create another calendar. So right now we have that weekly digest for people that subscribe to it, and they get an email of everything going on that week. It includes, meetings, events, things like that. So we can add due dates to that, and it can be emailed out that way as a reminder.
But additionally, there is going to be a pamphlet that's going to go out.
Oh, a pamphlet of information, yes.
Yeah.
But something that's a keeper that you could put on the wall. The other thing that is there something that we can utilize Facebook again too, just to remind people that water bills are due.
It's meant to staff.
Yeah. Well, the more, it's not that big a problem that we're trying to fix, because most people have been paying water bills for a long time. They know they got to pay them. Like I'm to myself, if somebody doesn't hit me in the back of the head and tell me to do something, goes in one ear and out the other ear.
We can certainly try Facebook.
We'll leave that with staff to kind of
That's a
brainstorm that.
lot of reminders, like that's a monthly reminder on Facebook.
We'll be pushing equal payments
Yeah.
for sure, and that's going to be advertised on social media, our website and Facebook.
Okay, I think you Drew first.
So through the chair, I understand that we try to communicate as much as we possibly can with our residents, and I appreciate what everybody's trying to do, but at some point in time, everybody's adults, and you kind of need to be accountable to set up your own internal system for finance and management of your bills and when things are due. So, if we
put a notification out once a year with a basic calendar on it, then what people do with it after that, I think is up to them, because I will be honest, I have a lot of residents that when they're calling me complaining about water or whatever, and I go, oh, we put a notice in the water bill. Do you know what they do with it? They don't even read it. They take their water bill, they take anything else that is in the envelope and they throw it in the garbage. So I don't want to spend a lot of, or suggest we direct staff to spend a lot of staff time on it, because we all know our staff have minimal free time, when I bet there's probably a larger percentage that aren't gonna read it. I'm not saying there isn't, some residents aren't gonna take that calendar and pin it up. Like, I know I have the garbage calendar on the side of my fridge, but some of them aren't going to read it. I get calls at least once or twice a week on when is recycling and when is garbage day. Still to this day, after 4 years.
We've been using our electronic signs for
I use normal.
tax bills.
She knows.
So that could be also implemented as well as a friendly reminder.
All right, well. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, just to clarify then regarding the due date. So I'm reading in your report, it says that the accounts receivable will align on the last day of the month following the bill, and the penalty will be added for all outstanding accounts. So the bill is going to be coming, say it comes on April the 20th, and it's due at the end of April or the end of the following month?
No, at the end, usually the bill comes in roughly 15 days before the due date. It
Okay.
has to be in residents' hands.
Okay, and the due date is the last day of the month?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the steps here, 15 days, 45 and 60, is that the grace period you're talking about?
Yes,
Okay, so there is a 2-month grace period before it goes on to the tax bill.
that's correct, but
Okay.
they are being charged interest.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I understand that.
So that gets me back to, I was just gonna go up and see what days that the old age pension check shows up. It is within 5 days? Okay.
Is it check? Is it the actual check? or
Somewhere,
is
some
it,
people get checks,
oh,
some people get, some
Oh, I
people still
see.
get checks.
mhm.
And so I was just gonna go on there and see, because if, say, you mentioned the 30th of April, if the check don't show up to the 28th, there's a pretty short window for people to be able to.
And I just want council to know that penalty, not penalty, interest is being applied at the end of the day. So basically, we provide them with additional full day of an option of paying their bill on the first day of the month, because we don't apply interest until end of the day. So the interest is being applied on the first, but at the very end of the day. Oh, grandfathering. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Through the chair, can you just, because we talked about this, I don't remember, a few months ago, how the grandfathering of the tenant process was going to work? Because I'm trying to find that previous discussion in my notes and I can't.
So there will be no changes to current tenants and property owners. We're not gonna transfer their balance and property. We're still gonna try to recover the money. We'll still be sending notifications to both. But going forward, the property owner will be notified that if the tenant defaults on payment, then there will be automatically the charges will be transferred on their property tax
So it's only when a new tenant moves into a property.
as of July
So
1st.
long-term
Excuse me.
existing tenants, there's no, it's status quo.
That's
Okay, thank you for refreshing my memory.
Okay, we all done with this?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, so the resolution That West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Magda Badura, CAO Treasurer, Water and Wastewater Billing Collection Policy. And the West Elgin Council hereby considers the water and wastewater billing collection policy in the bylaw portion of the agenda.
Mover and seconder, moved by Cameron, seconded by Rowe, all in favor? That's carried.
So we're on to the water fill retrofit station, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Jenna. So this report was brought to council's attention as we are having an issue with our existing software for the water fill station. The software itself is very old. It's called WinFuel. We don't pay any maintenance fees or software fees. It's very cost-effective software up until when you have no issues with the software. The problem with it is that particular program was installed on the computer, on the hard drive. And it was brought to my attention that the computer is dying. We had to purchase extra memory to preserve the life of the computer, as there is no way of moving that software to another computer or put it on our network. So there is an option of investing money and purchase new software with appropriate support. But we thought that, having a water fill station in our municipality, that water should be available to everybody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And not just to our West Elgin residents, but to anybody. So we are proposing a point of sale terminal, the one that you see in the car wash, gas stations. So, as soon as the water is purchased, we can recognize that revenue on our books. We don't have to wait a month later to bill the customers. We won't have to issue PIN codes. We won't have to register anybody. We won't have to collect deposits from people that don't live in our municipalities. And we won't have to deal with software updates or purchases. So those are few advantages of having that kind of terminal. It's quite expensive, but please keep in mind, we've only checked with one company. We'll still be collecting quotes from other businesses just to make sure that the price that they quoted us is reasonable. And for that project, I would like to use our Ontario Invest funding. Right on the screen, I'm sorry that I didn't have a chance to send you that ahead of time, but we started with 500, we've received $553,560. So far, anything in green is completed. So we spent $33,000 for website development. We have implemented e-agenda software in the amount of $8,500. We have purchased conferencing equipment for $26,000, Laserfish software for $9,000, and 2 electronic signs. Those are the projects that have been completed and paid for. We're in the process of finishing implementation of our asset management software. We're thinking the net amount will be $164,000. That's subtracting grants that are related to asset management. And we have also in the process of obtaining completion of West Lawrence sewer capacity study. We allocated $30,000 for that. We have done some IT improvements. That $30,000 is not going to be used, but we're in the process of implementing dual factor authentication. So that will bring that amount down, but there's going to be, I would like to keep $30,000 for IT improvements because there is a lot of things that that we should be spending money on. And keyless access that was installed, an electronic timekeeper system was installed early this year. So that hasn't been built. So that money will be spent as well. We have also allocated $20,000 for strategic planning that we defer to next year. And there will be probably, as you recall, last year, I inquired, we were thinking of doing water capacity study. We had $30,000 in the budget, but it came out to over $50,000 the cost. So I'm trying, that water capacity study still has to be done. So I'd like to allocate money towards that initiative. So that being said, we should have $30,000 left. That could be allocated to the water fill station.
Okay, questions?
So that was one of my questions answered there. Thank you for that. So just to clarify, those two that haven't been started are still out of the amount. So we're still saving that amount for next year.
Yes.
Okay, good. And will there be a some sort of security system on the door to this? A lock, a code or something? I'm just thinking in terms of vandalism.
Pretty bulletproof.
Which one? Which door?
The door to the where they put in the picture there, where they put in their card and get their money, get their water out.
Oh, I don't know. I have no-
With some sort of a key, you know,
No,
give them a code or something.
No, it's just.
They're built fairly bulletproof. I think they've.
Well, I'm just thinking anybody can open the door and, but anyway.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Go. Yes, Anthony.
So through the chair, the keyless entry system, that was for all the buildings. We don't need to allocate any more money down the road. That-
No, we're not done yet. We just did our office and back shop and the fire hall in West Lorne.
So there's
The
still buildings that need keyless
the
entry
security
systems.
system that we purchased is that we can add different doors down the road and be on one big system. So that's our intent that, you know, every year we're gonna allocate so much money so we can bring all the facilities on one system. that
Okay,
can be
so-
monitored.
There will be each year when you do the budget, just a certain amount of money to change the systems over. So we don't need to save some of that money. for-
Right.
Okay,
It's not gonna be, the amount's not gonna be significant. I was thinking of maybe $10,000 a year.
to take care of the buildings and over
the
the
building.
next 4 to 5, everything should be,
Yes.
okay. Okay, that answers my question with funding. Thank you.
Getting back to the keyless entry situation, how many keys are out?
Oh, we don't even know. That's why we're switching to keyless access.
No, but I mean the keyless accent.
Okay, fobs? Just that.
I attended the last fair board meeting. And the shuffleboard people were in the big room. That's locked off from the entryway. shuffleboard people let the fair board people into the entryway. Couldn't get in, well, you can't get into the other room. So here we have the whole fair board standing in the entryway. They can't get into the other room because nobody has got a key fob to get in there. So everybody's standing around and looking. So finally, we got somebody to take a break from their shuffleboard to go down and go through the lift up door at the end there that they have in the kitchen and come around and open up the other door so the fair board could get into their meeting. So
So, sir, there was some technical difficulties that day with everybody, with a lot of people's, but I've now got access to unlock it from my computer at home. So so anyone can get a hold of, and my numbers, and I work basically am available 24/7, the same as like Lee or anyone. So I can do it from my computer and fix the lock and unlock.
can you put your name on the wall and your phone number?
So the president of the fair board has that, as do most of the other people have my cell phone
Okay, so
number.
there has been a change
Yes.
since the last meeting.
Yes,
'cause
we made Emily and I talked, and that's how they do all have my cell phone number to get a hold of me at any time.
At one point, I felt like the rat at the cat show when I was
Yeah.
standing there with.
We get through that.
Yeah, yes,
Through the chair, the good thing about the key fobs is that they're accountable to know Fred Smith was in the building for that
exactly. I
time
have no
frame.
problem.
Who came in and out and
Nobody
who's
has an issue
entering.
with that.
has access to our assets, which, you know, we, especially with certain departments, we know have a lot bigger assets than others. So you said one fire department's been done, but not the other one?
Yes, so right now, West Lauren Station, they have brand new security access, keyless access, and we are trying to obtain 4-digit code for each individual firefighter. So there will be no more one common codes. They're going to be accountable for going, everybody's going to be accountable for going in and out of the building.
Sounds like you're putting tracking systems in place, so that makes me happy. Thank you.
Okay, any more on this? Because we'll get back. We had good roundtable discussion on a lot of things. We do have the resolution.
The West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Magda Badura, CIO Treasurer, Water Fill Station retrofit. And the West Elgin Council hereby approves the purchase of surface mount access terminal and installation costs of up to $26,000 plus applicable taxes for the Water Fill Station retrofit.
Mover and seconder, moved by Cameron, seconded by Latham, all in favor, carried. I just went through the list of payment dates for old age pension and due dates, and there's 2 business days between receiving the check and the bill is due. That's what that,
Like right now, the due date would be
before you get the check, yeah. So, I mean, that, I don't think that we're gonna make that today, but that's just something for you to think about. In fact, in October, there's 1 day. Check and the bills due. So just take that under consideration. Okay, let's roll through these approval of waiver fees.
You've got a couple more.
Oh, I
You've got one
do
more
have,
report.
we have the,
The monthly report from the.
right.
Any, so if anyone has any questions.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just, with regard to the tax sale, I was just surprised that a property can be redeemed after the offers have been received. Is that standard practice?
Yes, it is. So the property owner still has a chance to come up with cancellation fee until the deed is registered.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And that's under provincial rules. Okay. Anything else with?
I'll just do the recommendation that West Elgin Council hereby receives a report from Magda Badura, CIO Treasurer, and Janet Nethercott Clerk, re-administration monthly update for March 22 or 2022 for information purposes.
Mover and seconder, moved by Rowe, seconded by Tallier, all in favor? Carried. We, under administration, should we make a note of our new water manager,
Oh, Tri-County?
Tri-County?
That's in communication, sir.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I didn't see that in communication. That was the president.
Oh, the president, because then I think it must have been, it's Tri-County, right? So I guess it's going on Tri-County. We send her to.
Yeah, well, I think everybody here knows.
Yeah.
So what has transpired is at the Elgin or the West Elgin Tri-County Treatment Plant, Sam Armstrong has been
Not
assigned.
Armstrong.
Not,
Or Sam Smith
Smith.
has been, Sam Armstrong, he's another Sam we know. Sam Smith has been appointed as manager of that facility. Which is a good thing for us, I think, because, Sam lives here, he drinks the water here, and as I've told people, if you see Sam uptown buying bottled water, you know we got a problem. Okay, first item up, West Lauren Optimus Club Car Show. Recommendation.
So I'm not sure if you want to approve, deny, it's your choice, but it'll be $25 plus applicable taxes.
Okay. That's fine.
Just wondered how much is left in council grants before we get to these various items.
There'll be a report coming to the next council, how much fees you've waived. We just didn't have time to get everything in at this point. That will be a quarterly update coming at the end of April for how much you've waived.
Okay. But in terms of grants, do we know what's left?
oh, there's still.
There was still a
plenty
fair
of
amount of
room.
money.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's,
Therese,
Through the chair, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve this $25 waiving of this fee.
hey, we have a move, seconder. Richard, all in favor? Carried. Somebody want to waive it, Angela? Rodney Hart. Honey,
Make a motion that we approve the total. Is it 280 or 140?
140 would cover the 2 days. So,
Okay.
sorry, yeah, it covers both. We added them up.
Okay, I approve that motion.
mover and seconder, seconded by Cameron, all in favor? That's carried. Rodney Quanis. Counselor Cameron.
I move that we approve it. I just have a quick question though. Were they sent out a request for the counselor grants application?
They were, they had some change in leadership and it does not appear that it got moved through the ranks. Due to COVID, a lot of people weren't meeting regularly and things got displaced. But hopefully they are aware of them and next year we'll be applying for them.
Okay, thank you.
Seconder for that motion. Roll, all in favor? Carried. Committee and board reports. Council reports from committees. Anything to come up with? Seeing none. Youth task team minutes for your proposal. Any questions for Teresa on that? Seeing none. For counties transit minutes. Any questions on that? Seeing none, we'll go to accounts.
That the mayor and treasurer are hereby authorized to sign payment voucher number 4 amounting to $1,952,760.35 in settlement of general road, water, and arena accounts, including electronic fund transfer 5,000 to 5064, online payments 892 to 903, check numbers 25903 to 25916, and payroll for pay periods 6 and 7.
Okay, Teresa. Moving that. Okay, seconder, row.
got the money.
All right. All in favor? Carried. Correspondence, Minister of Agriculture and Food and Rural Affairs, avian flu, COVID for chickens. This is, I don't know how serious this is going to be.
Scary.
Yeah, it really is. Yes.
Through the chair, last night at our EFA meeting, it was quite a hot topic and OFA is actually putting out some information, which I will be forwarding to Jenna to put some information out. They're asking anybody in specifically rural areas where there are chickens to not feed birds at all this year, to not put out your bird bass, to not put out any kind of information thing that would draw in a bird. And I know there's a lot of residents in our community that feed birds, but they're saying that they are finding cases of this flu in the wild turkeys, in our Canadian geese, in our larger birds that are within our community, and it is spreading everywhere. Now, obviously, the cases are a lot more in Oxford County, but we want to make sure that we protect our chicken barns within West Elgin. So with council's support, I'd like to put a little bit of information out to some of our residents about not encouraging and feeding birds and stuff like that. So.
That's a big ask.
Well, but I'd like to educate the public about what they're doing to potentially their food sources. Because once one bird in the barn gets it, they have to cull the entire barn.
I know. So just to clarify what it is that they're asking for, is this just people with backyard birds or chicken flocks that they're not to feed birds, or everybody in the whole area?
They're asking everybody to not feed birds. Don't put your water bird bass out. Don't put bird feeders out. Because you are talking hundreds and thousands of birds and people's livelihoods that this could potentially ruin.
I don't know what the answer is to this, and I agree with you. This is a big ask, but I guess education is education, and people will deal with it as they feel comfortable dealing with it. But speaking with Norma's daughter last night, who works for the Alberta Egg Board, they're very, very concerned. They have got it there, and it's big in the US to the point that Canada imports eggs, Alberta Egg Board imports eggs in from the US. Unavailable. So it coming to a food chain near you. So maybe it's a big ask, but maybe not that big ask, that we need to have to do everything that we can to protect these flocks. Because all of a sudden that was very, very sobering to me when there are no eggs.
I was going to suggest that there are certainly likely small flocks in this municipality that wouldn't be connected to a farmers association or whatever. And so, you know, certainly getting something on our social media about what they can do or should do as small flock owners would be, you know, good as well. So whatever OFA has to submit.
But this isn't solely coming from small flocks. This is wild birds that are flying over our community that are spreading this.
Right.
And that's what they're trying to educate the public is, and that's why they're saying to not feed birds of any form.
Yeah, I understand.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter whether someone has backyard chickens or not, because, you know, say I have a robin that's in my barn and it picks it up from my area and then goes near one of those barns, it can transmit it and potentially wipe out our feathered friends, which, you know, that's our eggs, that's our chicken, and that's a food source that could become very unstable in the province of Ontario. So
Yeah.
that's a big issue for people.
So there'll be more to come on that. Just good news just does not want to come at all. Okay, so we'll look forward to something that comes from Councillor Cameron regarding this through the EFA and OFA. Municipal Affairs and Housing, more homes for everyone plan. Any action required there?
Staff are attending, the planner and myself, and I think Magda will also are attending a webinar next week. We might have some more information for you guys at that point.
Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing Reopening Ontario Act. I think there's language that I read in that yesterday that will probably affect temporary shelters going forward.
They no longer can operate without zoning approvals and
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah.
Okay, Ontario.
Through the chair.
Yes.
The one thing that I wondered about in terms of the expansion of patios, I wondered if we should be considering having that as a permanent bylaw, since that is now. The clerk tells me that nobody took advantage of the expanding patios anyways, but I know a couple of places that did. So whether they went through the AGO to get that approval, or-
they didn't expand their patios so much as, from what I can from what I remember with them, these were more for allowing them on like sidewalks and stuff like that. They had, if you have it at a business and they were licensed, they still had to go through the AGCO if they sold liquor. That I will double
Okay.
check that, but I don't believe
I
it
guess-
actually will affect those guys at all.
I guess if anybody comes to us with a
Yeah.
request, we can consider it.
Municipality of Clarington Natural Heritage System mapping. That's again, something that, have you discussed that at the EFA? I know that when the first natural heritage study was being put together back in 2019, there certainly were concerns from the ag community. So I don't know if it's kind of just gone into outer space somewhere. I don't know. Is that something that you could bring up at?
Absolutely. I will bring it up to two of our members that specifically focus on that and get them to look into it and see where we're standing.
Ontario Clean Water Agency, we have a new president. Guess that doesn't affect us too terribly much. Ministers for Seniors and Accessibility, nominations for Ontario Senior of the Year. There's a number of people around the table that would qualify for that. So you have someone that you feel warranted to nominate? Yes.
I wondered about Alphonse Willie. He's been very active on the arena board for years.
On hockey for years too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd
Is
be-
there a process, Madam Clerk?
There's a whole portal and people need to go in and do it themselves. I'm not sure we as a municipality can do it. You have to go into their website, all through the website. It's just letting people know. It's just more of an information. Hey, this is there. If you guys want to nominate people, this is how you do it.
So I guess we can just post it on our website for people to nominate if they wish.
Yeah, that's probably the best way forward. Next item up, County of Elgin Platinum Jubilee nominations. This is Karen Vecchio. This is just a retweet or repost from the County of Elgin, and it's the same. It's, I guess, 10 years after this one here of the diamond medals. So that
So is that the same?
something.
Person, not a
Yes.
municipality?
Yeah, it has to go through Karen. Karen has all the information on her website.
Yeah, it's another one of those for informations. We don't do it. If you wish to do it as a citizen, you can.
And the Rodney Firefighters Association request to close Fernville Road. You've got that under control, Lee. I guess you've talked to Dave about that.
We will need a resolution. I do have one prepared if you want to. We do just in order for us to apply for the applications through the county. Lee, unless you have any concerns, Lee. So that the West Elgin Council hereby supports the request
Let her read it and then I'll move it.
that the
Oh, you're-
request for the Rodney Firefighters Association for the temporary closure of Fernville Road from Queen Street to Victoria Street in Rodney on Friday, May 13th, 2022 from 4 PM until 8 PM.
Moved by Cameron, seconded by Dye, all in favor? Oh, question. All right.
Trying to indicate, how is a cruise night different from a car show? And why is it needed on the main street and closed rather than in a park, is my question.
The understanding I have is they would like to be able to support businesses and have the restaurants open. They're trying to piggyback the idea of the night market and support the businesses in downtown Rodney instead of moving it to, the alternative is the fairgrounds, which would draw everyone away from the downtown and away from the merchants.
It does work much better in a lot of communities, like Chatham does Retrofest. It's on the main street. St. Thomas, they're on the main street. So it's not an uncommon practice. And I think that's probably the motivation behind it, is get as many people on the streets from out of town that go
And staff doesn't have any problem with closing that much. Couple of side streets and
Through the chair, this is similar to what we did last summer. That was my understanding of the letter when we shut the street down
Toonie
with
Tuesday.
the ice to the Toonie Tuesday.
Mhm.
Yeah, so roughly.
Yeah, this would be identical to the closures that we put in place for the night market. The same location, the same streets being blocked off. The only thing that with this request, I will reach out to the county engineer right after this, because I know that there is construction to finish Rodney. And I know that that was slated for early in the spring. So we'll try and work with Elgin County to make sure that those two projects don't interfere with each other.
Just a bit of a side note on this. This will actually become a reoccurring theme on Friday the 13th. We will receive more of these exact requests from different groups on Friday the 13th.
And I think it comes on the heel of the Toonie Tuesday of when we did shut the street down for that. It was really kind of a carnival event where people walked uptown and you know, COVID was kind of getting over and people hadn't seen each other, and it was well received by the public. Yes.
So through the chair, the only perhaps concern I have if this is going to become a reoccurring thing on Friday the 13th, perhaps crowds may grow, the lack of public bathrooms in our downtown Rodney. Perhaps maybe we need to work with some of these service clubs that are doing it on a portable toilet or some type of
We at least need a hedge.
something. That maybe would be my chosen preference, but just something, because I don't believe that the businesses, other than unless they're patrons and within the restaurants, offer public bathrooms. So that's just my only concern.
I would second that.
Yeah, the reality was that that's where the night market rented the long run of porta potties, but we got away with it without on Toonie Tuesday. So I think this is the first one. And then there is one person basically coordinating it with the different service groups. So once he gets and sees how it goes, I think he'll have an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's, you know, we have to take advantage of the fact that, you know, we're halfway between London, St. Thomas and Chatham, and we can draw a lot of people. So, okay, Grey Highlands HST rebate on homes in Ontario. That's a pleasure on that. Okay, Rodney Kwas, Port Glasgow Beach cleanup. What are your staff comments on that?
No, just that we can provide the items that the Kiwanis are looking for in the way of bags and a few of the pickers and some gloves.
Good with that, okay.
Oh, yeah.
They need a resolution for, go ahead. Nobody?
I was just thinking, you know, most of the cleanup there is driftwood, and so they're gonna probably need a dumpster or something, are they? To put that stuff in?
Yeah, we're making arrangements. We'll work with
Okay.
them. There was up until COVID, there was always a cleanup done
Yeah.
at the beach each spring by students from the high school. So we'll coordinate that and make sure that they
Okay.
have what they need.
Okay, notice of motion.
A copy there on each person's desk and. I do apologize that I didn't get this on the agenda, but it was resulted from a presentation that I was at on Tuesday to listen to what the IESO, or the Independent Electricity System Operators, are planning. And they talked about the current electricity status in the province, and then what the future needs is going to be. And so they explained their process of what their procurement for the needed energy would be. They're looking at all forms of generation, including wind turbines. And Southwestern Ontario has been sort of pointed out as a kind of a higher priority area, primarily because of agriculture, they said, because of greenhouses for fruit and vegetables and cannabis. is increasing the requirement in this area. So their plan is that the RFPs are going to be awarded this fall. So it is going to happen fairly quickly. There's an expedited RFP that will happen this fall, and then another longer term one next year. And developers are encouraged to approach municipalities as soon as possible for resolutions of support. So given that our official plan is under review now, but will not be completed until next year, and our plan is to honor the 2013 council resolution that we were an unwilling host for wind turbines. Those are the reasons why I thought I needed to bring this notice of motion to the floor today. It is somewhat urgent in my opinion. And so I'd like to bring this motion forward, and I will read it, or Jana can read it, whichever, but I would like to move this motion. Whereas in the recent past, the municipality of West Elgin has had wind energy companies lease agricultural land within its boundaries for the purpose of developing large-scale industrial wind turbine facilities. And whereas on October 24th, 2013, the municipality of West Elgin passed a resolution declaring the municipality of West Elgin not a willing host to industrial wind turbine projects. And whereas the Green Energy Repeal Act of 2018, Bill 34, provides for the restoration of municipal authority over the siting of renewable energy generation facilities within its boundaries. And whereas the independent electricity system operator is undertaking a new RFP process this year, and expedited proposals will be awarded this fall. And whereas the IESO is encouraging developers to approach municipal councils as soon as possible to obtain resolutions of support. And whereas West Elgin official plan review is underway with an anticipated completion date of 2023. And whereas Section 38 of the Planning Act permits the council of a municipality to pass an interim control bylaw that may be in effect for up to 1 year, which prohibits the use of land, buildings, or structures within the municipality or within the defined area thereof for such purposes as set out in the bylaw, but only if the council of the municipality has directed that a review or study be undertaken with respect to land use planning policies that apply to the subject area. So now therefore, West Elgin Council hereby directs staff to undertake the necessary research and consultation with respect to developing land use planning policies and regulations, and bring forward recommendations to council to ensure that any new large-scale renewable energy facilities are appropriately situated and regulated within all lands located within the municipality of West Elgin. And that West Elgin Council hereby directs staff to bring forward for council's consideration a staff report on interim control measures, including an interim control bylaw, to allow for a sufficient time for this research and consultation on restricting wind turbines within the municipality. So that being said, I would like to move that we move this motion so that we can have a discussion about it.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a mover and seconder. Well, I'm gonna jump right in here first, and you know, we have a lot of things in over the horizon that we really don't know or understand just right yet. We have a provincial election that's coming up. We don't know the result of that, which direction that will take. We have a municipal election coming forward. All of us around the table here have had 4 years to kind of get our head wrapped around alternative energy and you know, listened and seen and talked to a lot of people about it. I don't think that there's anything detrimental about putting an interim control bylaw in, for the simple fact that it will give those that are sitting around this table in the near future a little bit of breathing space where they can consult with their constituents, see what's happening on the provincial government side of it, and have a much better understanding what it's all about than all of a sudden being faced with decisions that you really don't have the knowledge or experience, or even, you know, you've all sat here as new councils, you don't even really know where to go and ask the questions. So I think there's a potential in looking at this as kind of setting the stage for the next group coming in to give them a little opportunity. I don't think that in your conversation or your seminar there, that there was really much specific about what they were planning on doing. It was just that they're planning on doing it.
No, they said they were agnostic with regard to what kind of energy production. The only thing that they inferred was that the federal government is encouraging them to put a moratorium on gas plants. So it's unlikely that that will be a form of energy, but obviously if they are looking, in my understanding, this RFPs that they're going to be awarding this fall are for production by 2025. So that's not going to be anything in a major, a hydroelectric plant or a large nuclear plant or anything like that. They're looking for smaller projects. And so that's kind of what they said.
I know they're talking about micro nuclear plants. They're contained unit. And there's been some bit of discussion, or there's already plans in the works with some of the major developments that are going on, a new transmission line to Windsor. I don't know if that's part and parcel of a lot of what's going on here. It doesn't affect us. It would be north of us. So there's just a lot of unanswered questions in I didn't see anything at the conference that was regarding from the service providers to be able to discuss this in a forum with people. If you hadn't gracefully taken on the role to sit in on and have a look at it, we wouldn't know anything about it. So I thought that unfortunately was something that I think would have been well attended at this conference, and there was really nothing much about it. So Angela.
So knowing what I've seen going on and the fact that our hydro lines are not producing enough for all these upcoming electrical changes and requirements. My long love of preserving farmland. So I'm more than happy to support this and think that we can put something in place until all of us, as the mayor is saying, about get our head around where we're going with this, because I know that the grid right now isn't producing enough hydro, and with all those changes that are coming, I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I'm not wanting to see something jammed down our throats either.
And from my understanding on the call, there were municipalities that were interested in having some form of energy production in their municipality, and that's great. But to me, this at least gives us the bit of time. From my understanding, an interim control bylaw is good for 1 year. And if you can demonstrate that you're working towards the solutions or the finished product, you can extend it for another year. And so I think that will give us plenty of time to finalize our official plan. I mean, the study of this is already ongoing, so it's not like it's a new request. Our consultants are working on this. The additional request is for staff to produce a bit of a report back to this council as to what an interim control bylaw is and so forth, and have the wording correct. So that will be added work for our planner, and I see she's on the call, so maybe she'd like to comment on that.
Well, I think too, Heather, that there are probably lots of templates out there, and this is something that you're quite familiar with. And I think without a tremendous amount of research, you could probably put something together for us that would accomplish, I guess, some breathing time between what is now and what could be down the road, that we would have a better understanding of what it all means.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, any other comments? Certainly, it's not that we're against future electric generation. When you take a look at the potential need for millions of car chargers across this country, that's going to have to come from somewhere. So we're going to have to work with the way it works. So, okay. You need a vote, do you, Madam Clerk? Are you hungry? We have guests.
Yes.
Okay, been moved and seconded, all in favor. And that is carried. Okay. What's that? No matters of urgency. Any statements by counselors? Seeing none, all right, we will go back out to recess.
For those on the call, we will be recessed until 1 PM and we'll return with bylaws and then go into closed session.
Okay, thank you all very much.
I was looking at some minutes from a couple of years ago and it reminded me that we've never ever
Okay. You missed a good lunch, Therese. Good turnout. Good number of people from worked with George over the years. So with that, we're going to get reconvene at 1:09. Certainly sorry for the delay. We're going to start with bylaws and we'll start with bylaw 2022-17.
So that bylaw 2022-17 being a bylaw to delegate authority to the chief administrative officer for certain acts during the lame duck period for the corporation of the municipality of West Elgin be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Mover and seconder. Moved by Rowe, seconded by Cameron. All in favor. Any discussion on that? All in favor, and that's carried.
So that bylaw 2022-18 being a bylaw to amend the municipality of West Elgin comprehensive zoning bylaw number 2015-36 for all the lands within the municipality of West Elgin be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Mover and seconder. Moved by Cameron, seconded by Leatham. Any discussion? All in favor.
That bylaw,
Carried.
bylaw 2022-19 being a bylaw to adopt the policy AD 3.4 water and wastewater billing and collection policy be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Rowe, seconded by Tellier. Any discussion on that? All in favor? And that is carried.
Confirming bylaw, the bylaw 2022-20 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council held on April 14th, 2022 be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Mover and seconder, Cameron and Tellier, all in favor? That's carried.
So we're on to closed session that council of the municipality of West Elgin hereby proceeds into closed session at 1:11 PM. Under section 239 B, D, and F of the Municipal Act, RSO 2001, consideration will be given to matters pertaining to personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including a municipal or local board employee, labor relations or employee negotiations, and advice that is subject to client solicitor privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose.
Moved by Cameron, seconded by Leatham. Any discussion? All in favor? That is carried. We are
Oh, wait a minute, I have to lock down the meeting, sir.
now in closed session and we'll let our technical advisor get us there.
Okay,
Always
everybody can switch to the green. So I just go.
Cool, I know what I was doing. Watching us. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Next item on the agenda is the report from closed session, Madam Clerk.
So the report from closed session is the Council of the Municipality of West Elgin hereby provided staff direction on matters pertaining to personnel matters about identifiable individuals, including a municipal or local board employee, labor relations or employee negotiations, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose.
Okay. All heard the recommendation, mover and seconder, please. Rowe and Talia, all in favor? That is carried.
So we're at adjournment, sir, if you're ready.
Go ahead.
The Council of the Municipality of West Elgin hereby adjourn at 1:48 PM to reconvene again to meet again at 9:30 AM on April 28th, 2022, with a call of the chair.
Mover and seconder, Leatham and Cameron, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Everybody have a good day and see you soon.